Wednesday, and I just want to, those of you who know me know I'm not much of a bureaucrat. I will tell you like it is, and I put these talking points together. I'd rather do it extemporaneously, but I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I want to recap basically what you said in the last meeting to make sure we have it right, and then tell you what we are proposing based on that. Over the past few weeks, the Housing Department staff and some members of council received concerned phone calls from some rental property owners, mostly those who own multi-unit rental buildings. Several asked to speak with city officials directly to have their concerns addressed in person. As a courtesy to those of you who requested to meet with us, we scheduled a meeting which was held last Wednesday. In addition to the few that initially requested the meeting, there were approximately 25 more individuals in attendance who arrived at the meeting to air their concerns about the changes that we've made to the rental ordinances last spring. You told us you felt the changes to the annual occupancy fees are unfair. You told us that you feel disrespected and looked down upon as business owners in the city. You told us that you're not making any money renting your properties. Often people are late or unable to pay rent for months. Many of you also had a problem with the $50 tenant change fee, the increased identification requirements, and the fact that partial year occupancy permits are not prorated. The majority of those who came to the meeting last Wednesday were residents of South Euclid as well as landlords. You told us that you care about the city and that you go above and beyond to take care of your rental property. You were angry that we increased fees and did nothing to acknowledge your contribution to the city. We held the meeting last Wednesday and we're holding a special public meeting tonight because we do care. We want to know what you think and work with you to develop an effective program that meets our mutual goals of preserving and protecting the housing stock, as well as providing a selection of quality rental properties. This past spring, Council passed revised rental legislation that made some changes designed to address some of the issues we were facing as a city concerning rental properties. The rental ordinance changes were proposed and adopted over the course of several public meetings this past spring. There was also publicity generated in the Sun newspaper in June, as well as postcards sent to all landlords from the Housing Department in September. These discussions were held in public meetings. Legislation was introduced in April 2008, was reviewed by Council Finance Committee in May, and legislation was passed in June. Annual rental occupancy fees were raised from $100 to $200 per year, with a $3,000 cap for multi-unit properties. Although this seems like a steep increase, this is the first increase in 7 years. If you divide the change over 7 years, it represents less than a $15 per year annual increase and an $8 per month increase per unit over last year. This was proposed to better cover the cost of administering the rental program, which has been a continual drain on city resources. Other changes were designed to ensure greater registration compliance. We increased the late fee to $100, added a $100 undisclosed rental fee, and a $100 fee if we're forced to take court action to collect fees and registration information. We also instituted a $500 fee to issue a new certificate of occupancy if we're forced to revoke occupancy in extreme cases of noncompliance. The tenant change fee was changed from $50 from $12.50. We also added a requirement for better proof of identity to address the ongoing issue of incomplete, incorrect, and false contact information. This enables us to get landlords into court if necessary to ensure compliance on property maintenance code issues. The tenant and contact information we compile is utilized by the Board of Education, the police, and the fire departments. We often find ourselves in the position of playing detective in cases where we receive incorrect or incomplete information. In fact, just as a visual aid, these are the cards we sent out telling people about the changes, and these were all returned mail. So these are bad addresses we have for landlords that came back. From a housing perspective, unscrupulous lending practices have led to the current foreclosure crisis. We're dealing with vacant and foreclosed properties in record numbers throughout Cuyahoga County and the region as a whole. We have properties that were purchased for little or nothing down, rented out while the landlord proceeded not to pay the mortgage, giving the landlord an income stream until the sheriff evicted the tenant months or years later when the bank reclaimed the property through foreclosure. Our attempts at enforcing code compliance through court action were stymied due to a lack of paperwork, incomplete or false paperwork. Often these landlords have never even visited the property. Vacant and abandoned bank-owned properties are also attractive to out-of-town speculators who buy multiple properties in order to rent them to tenants. The maintenance of these properties is often spotty at best, and again, court compliance is difficult. The overall effect to a city like South Euclid is a reduction of curb appeal and an erosion of property values. A strong rental program is our first line of defense. As reputable rental owners who are invested in South Euclid for the long term, I know you share our goals for the city. It's imperative that we work together to refine a program that's respectful to you and your goals while protecting the city's best asset, our housing stock. In light of our meeting last week, and as a sign of good faith, I'm proposing some adjustments to the rental ordinances to address your concerns, as well as the city's overall concerns about protecting the housing stock. I feel this is a fair compromise that will allow all of us to reach our goals. I am proposing keeping the annual occupancy fee at $200 per unit, with a reduced fee for each additional unit of $50 and a cap of $3,000 for multi-unit buildings. For multi-unit buildings, this represents a significant reduction to your annual cost over prior legislation. We'll eliminate the $50 tenant change fee. You'll still be required to inform us of tenant changes within 30 days, but there will be no fee associated with changing tenants. We will begin prorating partial year fees. In the past, these were not prorated, and you told us that you felt this was really unfair. We will retain our requirements for an identification affidavit and a copy of the driver's license, but we will permit those who are uncomfortable to redact social security number if listed and driver's license number if they choose to. This is a crucial tool for us, as incorrect and partial information are a continual administrative and enforcement problem. Because of these changes, for 2009, we'll provide an extension for the payment of fees until February 1st for the owners of multi-unit buildings. It's our hope that by making these changes, you feel the rental program is more supportive of your needs and goals. We hope to maintain and continue dialogue with you in order to create innovative rental programming that will help move the city forward and answer the increasing demand for safe, attractive, and desirable rental housing in South Euclid.